My first question I like to ask Dr. Mohammed, who just talked about this Arab Spring. Just how can we strengthen the content and the delivery of education to better meet our needs for this coming years with all these ambitious plans in the minds of the young generation? Dr. Mohammed, sorry, Dr. Tariq.
Dr. Ibrahim, can you repeat the question again so I can...
Okay. I said, how can we, now this young generation who are now eager to see better education for themselves, how do you think we can provide a good education to meet these needs?
Well, Dr. Ibrahim, that was in many ways kind of the point that I was trying to sort of leave us with, that at a moment when the possibilities for change are present in more ways than we have seen in a very long period of time, and where the core actors in the political space who want change are youth. And one of their core demands is education. How do you engage them at this moment in time? How do you begin the process of engineering change in a transparent, accountable, open manner, where what you're aiming to do is not to build schools or to recruit more teachers, but to incentivize the education system, to reform the educational structures? I think that in many ways, this particular moment is where the possibilities are there, but I would also argue in the short term, the challenges are also there. I did not mean to minimize the risks here, or make this sound like it was a slam dunk in any way. I would actually argue that in the short term, things will get worse before they get better. But in an open political space where what you can debate is everything, and what you can hope for is extremely ambitious, you can push forward with such projects of education reform that aim to do a lot. And at the heart of them, they're not just about changing the incentives for the teacher or the school, they're about remaking an entire institution and everything around it.
Yes, I mean, yeah, I fully agree with Dr. Tariq. I just wanted to add that the Arab Spring has created a real and unique opportunity for the education reform agenda to be high on the priorities. I mean, the new leadership in the countries that have gone through the revolution are now more eager and willing to listen, to work with other stakeholders, to engage into a discussion with the private employers, with the private sector providers, to rethink the whole education curriculum and define the new priorities for the education. Today, 80% of the education provision is, I am talking about post-secondary education, is with the public sector. And historically, it has prepared people who wanted to take a job in the public sector. In the last 15 years, most of the jobs have been created in the private sector, while students and youth were not prepared for.
Thank you. Dr. Mohammed, you talked about the teachers and preparation. And we all know that the teachers' preparation in the Arab world, Arab countries now is very poor, or slightly, and differs from one country to another, but in general they are poor. How can we overcome this challenge? It is a challenge, don't you think so?
Yeah, definitely it's a challenge. And quality education without good teachers, good qualified teachers, will not happen. So the challenge there first is in recruiting qualified teachers. Second is in retaining those qualified teachers through a number of incentives. So you need to raise the status of the teacher. You need to provide the teacher with pre-service and in-service training, continuous professional development. You need to involve the teacher in decision-making as well as students. What Dr. Tariq was stating earlier, I think here is important, that we have to look at comprehensive education reform, which has been missing in most of the initiatives that we have seen so far. It has been emphasizing some aspects like technical aspects, technology, computers, building schools. You need to look at it comprehensively and to focus at certain key issues such as teachers, recruiting and retaining.
Salah Din, in the film you showed something about the vocational training and education. Would you, tell us more about how can we improve this kind of education that's really neglected in this part of the world, from the education institution as well as from the employers. So how can we improve this vocational education?
I mean, the situation really varies from one country to another in the region. And although governments in the region have spent a lot of money and invested in vocational training, but so far it has not reached its potential. Countries like Morocco or Oman have made a lot of progress and very success stories in terms of engaging the private sector, in shaping the curriculum, in providing the faculty, in allowing students to have on-the-job training, internship while they are studying. But in most other countries in the region, this is the forgotten middle.
Why is that? Do you have reasons for this?
There is still, as the previous panelist mentioned, there is still a perception and in the society in the Arab region that higher education is where people need to go. There is a strong stigma against vocational training, against certain professions like nursing, like plumbing, electrician. It's not something well received in the society, and this is one of the main reasons. But we are starting to see some good success stories. I take the example of Al-Arabi Group in Egypt, a Toshiba manufacturer. They have major difficulties to find technicians and to find people who can work in their plants. They employ 16,000 people. So what they have done is to partner with a vocational institute to train young graduates about, in discipline that they need in their plants and in their workshops. And this is the kind of initiative that need to be scaled up and need to be supported to cater for the need of the masses.
So this is, you're saying that the private sector should be involved in,
heavily involved in
this part.